Have you ever felt this? One day she's warm, affectionate, engaged. She laughs at your jokes. She texts back fast. She leans in when you talk. And then, almost overnight, she's cold, distant, unreachable. No explanation, no clear reason, just silence. And suddenly, your mind starts working overtime. You replay conversations, you reread old messages, you check your phone more than you want to admit. You ask yourself the question every man asks at this moment: what did I do wrong? Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is going to challenge everything you've been taught about women, dating, and so-called mixed signals. What if she isn't confused at all? What if she knows exactly what she's doing? And more importantly, what if those mixed signals have nothing to do with her emotions and everything to do with yours? Stay with me, because once you understand this, the entire dynamic changes, not just with her, but with every woman you'll ever meet. Here's the first truth most men never hear. Mixed signals are not a message. They are a mirror. Let me explain. Most men believe mixed signals mean one of three things. She's complicated. She doesn't know what she wants. Women are just confusing. That belief feels comforting because it removes responsibility. But it's also the reason men stay stuck, because mixed signals are not random. They are not accidents, and they are definitely not chaos. They are feedback. Not about her feelings, about your emotional position in the dynamic. Think back to the beginning. In the early stage, everything felt easy. She replied quickly. She asked questions. She showed curiosity. She made time. There was flow. Then slowly, something shifted. Her replies got shorter. The warmth faded. She took longer to respond. Plans became vague, not canceled, just uncertain. And that's when something else happened. You changed. Maybe subtly, maybe without noticing. You started leaning in more. You waited for her replies. You checked timestamps. You reread your last message and wondered if it sounded wrong. You started trying to fix the vibe. And here's the key insight. The moment you became confused, the dynamic already changed. Because confusion doesn't come from her behavior. It comes from your reaction to it. Mixed signals work only when someone is emotionally invested enough to feel destabilized by them. Read that again. If you were grounded, if you were centered, if you were emotionally steady, her behavior wouldn't feel confusing. It would just feel like information. But when you're attached to an outcome, when you're afraid of losing her, every delay feels loud. Every silence feels personal. And that internal shift is exactly what she senses. Not logically, not consciously, but emotionally. Women are extraordinarily sensitive to emotional imbalance, not because they're manipulative, but because attraction itself is a calibration of safety and strength. And strength at its core is emotional stability. Let me give you a real example. A man I once coached, let's call him Alex, met a woman through mutual friends. At first, everything clicked. She initiated texts. She suggested meetups. She laughed easily around him. Alex stayed relaxed. He didn't rush. He didn't chase. Then one night, after an amazing date, he went home and did something small, but crucial. He started fantasizing. He imagined where this could go. He imagined losing her. He imagined needing clarity. Nothing changed on the outside yet, but inside, his emotional investment spiked. The next day, her replies were slower. Not cold, just slower. And Alex felt it immediately. He checked his phone. He waited. He felt that tightness in his chest. That's when the loop began. He sent a follow-up message, then another one later, then a "hope your day's going well," all reasonable, all polite, and all revealing. Because what she was watching wasn't his words. It was his emotional response to uncertainty. Here's what most men don't understand. The confusion you feel is the data she's collecting. Not data about your worth, data about your center. your ability or inability to remain grounded when the emotional temperature changes. Mixed signals expose emotional imbalance the same way pressure exposes cracks in concrete. If nothing cracks, the structure is strong. If everything shakes, the structure wasn't stable to begin with. And here's the uncomfortable part. She doesn't need to consciously test you. The dynamic tests itself. The moment she senses that her distance creates anxiety in you, the balance shifts. Because attraction doesn't grow in reassurance. It grows in polarity. And polarity requires two things: interest and emotional independence. Now pause for a second. If this is hitting close to home, I want you to comment one word: mirror. Because that's what this is. Not a game, not manipulation, a reflection. When a woman sends mixed signals, she isn't asking, does he like me? She's asking, does he lose himself when I pull back? And every reaction answers that question. Over-explaining, double texting, seeking clarity too early, trying to lock things down. Each one says the same thing: I need certainty to feel okay. And need, no matter how politely expressed, kills attraction. This is where most men go wrong. They think the solution is to decode her behavior, to analyze her messages, to read between the lines. But mixed signals are not puzzles to solve. They are emotional weather. You don't argue with the weather, you observe it. And here's the crucial shift. The man who keeps his rhythm when the signals change becomes the man she leans back toward. The man who panics becomes the man she distances from. Not out of cruelty, out of instinct, because instability does not feel safe, and attraction cannot survive where safety is missing. Now here's the question I want you to sit with before we move on. When she pulled back, did you pull inward? Or did you chase outward? That answer explains everything. In the next part, we're going to go deeper, because the truth is, she isn't confused. She's calibrating. And once you understand how that calibration works, you'll never experience mixed signals the same way again. But only if you're ready to look at the mirror instead of blaming it. Let's go deeper. Because once you understand this next layer, mixed signals stop feeling personal and start feeling predictable. Here's the truth most men miss. She isn't confused. She's calibrating. Calibration is not manipulation. It's not cruelty. It's not some evil game. It's instinct. When a woman feels that a man is investing emotionally faster than she is, something subtle happens inside her. Her attraction doesn't disappear, but her nervous system shifts. She feels the imbalance, and imbalance creates pressure. So what does instinct do under pressure? It creates space. That space can look like slower replies, shorter messages, less enthusiasm, busy schedules, rain checks without clear reschedules. And this is where men misread everything. They think distance means rejection. It doesn't. Distance is not rejection. Distance is a pressure test. It's the emotional equivalent of slightly loosening your grip on a rope to see if the other person panics or stays steady. Because what she's unconsciously asking is simple. Does this man still feel grounded when I step back? Not confident in words, grounded in behavior. Let me make this concrete. Early on, she used to reply in 5 minutes. Now it's 5 hours. Early on, calls lasted an hour. Now they're 15 minutes. Early on, plans were clear. Now they're maybe and we'll see. Nothing dramatic, nothing extreme, just enough uncertainty to reveal something. And here's the crucial detail. She's watching what happens inside you. Do you tense up? Do you start explaining yourself? Do you try to re-establish closeness immediately? Or do you keep your pace? Do you stay present in your own life? Do you treat distance as information, not a threat? Because distance creates tension, and tension creates leverage. Not because she wants power over you, but because leverage reveals stability. Think of it like this. When the ground shakes, the building doesn't panic. It either stands or it doesn't. Now let's talk about why uncertainty is so powerful. because this is where things get dangerous. The human brain does not crave comfort. It craves resolution. Certainty feels nice, but uncertainty is what activates obsession. This is basic neurochemistry. When rewards are predictable, dopamine levels stabilize. When rewards are unpredictable, dopamine spikes. That's why slot machines are addictive. That's why social media notifications work. And that's why mixed signals hit harder than consistent affection. One night of intense connection creates a high. 3 days of silence creates withdrawal. Then a single message appears. Hey, stranger. And suddenly, relief. Your body relaxes. Your mind clears. Your hope resets. You're not falling deeper in love. You're entering a dopamine loop. Reward, withdrawal, anticipation, repeat. And the more emotionally invested you already are, the stronger the loop becomes. This is where men lose themselves. They start living between messages. They attach their mood to her attention. They confuse emotional spikes with intimacy. And here's the twist most men never consider. She doesn't have to plan this. Your brain does the work for her. All she has to do is vary availability. Your nervous system fills in the rest. And if you don't have emotional control, the uncertainty starts controlling you. Now, this is where a critical distinction needs to be made, because not all mixed signals are the same. And this is where many men go wrong. They assume every mixed signal is manipulation. It's not. There's a difference between testing and playing games. Games are about control. Tests are about safety. A woman playing games wants to dominate the dynamic. A woman testing wants to see if she can relax. The behavior might look identical. The intention is not. And the way you respond determines which path it takes. Let me show you the contrast. Imagine two men. Same woman, same mixed signals. Man number one panics. He sends multiple messages. He explains his intentions. He tries to fix the mood. He asks, is everything okay? He seeks reassurance. What does that communicate? Not affection, instability, need, emotional dependence. Now imagine man number two. He notices the change. He doesn't confront it emotionally. He doesn't withdraw in bitterness. He doesn't chase. He observes. He continues his routines. He responds when appropriate. He matches energy, not effort. What does that communicate? Groundedness. Self-trust, emotional containment. Here's the line you need to understand. Women don't ask if you are stable. They create instability and watch. Not consciously, not maliciously, instinctively. Because safety isn't proven through words. It's proven under pressure. This is why trying to clear things up too early backfires. You think you're being mature. What you're actually doing is revealing that uncertainty overwhelms you. And once that's revealed, attraction has nowhere to hide. Now let's move towards the core revelation, because this is where everything flips. Mixed signals are not puzzles to solve. They are mirrors revealing your emotional center. The more you chase clarity, the more power you hand away. The more you fear silence, the louder it becomes. The more you try to control the outcome, the less control you actually have. And here's the most uncomfortable truth of all. She doesn't take control. You give it away. You give it away when you abandon your rhythm to match hers. You put your life on pause, waiting for her response. You treat ambiguity as a crisis. You start negotiating attraction. She doesn't need to dominate you. She just needs to feel that you won't collapse. And when she senses that you can regulate yourself, something surprising happens. She leans back in. Not because you chased, but because she finally feels safe. Here's the line you need to remember. She controls until she feels safe. She feels safe only when you control yourself. Read that again. This is the twist most men never see. The moment you stop needing certainty is the moment clarity often appears. The moment you stop reacting is the moment attraction recalibrates. Because stability is rare and rarity is attractive. Now pause. If this is reframing your past experiences, I want you to comment calibration, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. In the final part, we're going to get practical, not manipulation, not coldness, but controlled, grounded action. I'll show you exactly what to do when mixed signals appear, how to respond without chasing, without punishing, and without losing yourself. Because coldness isn't strength, stability is, and that's where everything changes. Now we bring it home, because insight without action changes nothing. You now understand the real structure behind mixed signals. They are not chaos, they are not mystery, they are not emotional noise. They are calibration. They are leverage through uncertainty. They are mirrors revealing whether you are emotionally centered or emotionally reactive. So let's lock in the core truth one last time. Mixed signals are not puzzles to solve. They are reflections of your emotional center. The moment you stop trying to decode her is the moment the dynamic begins to shift. Because attraction doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to presence. Now here's where most men misunderstand strength. They think strength means becoming cold, detached, unavailable, indifferent. That's not strength, that's armor, and armor eventually isolates. Real strength is stability, the ability to remain calm without withdrawing, to stay open without chasing, to hold your frame without punishing. That's what creates safety. And safety is what allows attraction to breathe. So let's get practical. Here are the 4 actions that change everything when mixed signals appear. First, stop reacting, start observing. Silence is not a crisis. Distance is not an emergency. When she pulls back, don't fill the space with anxiety. Don't rush to explain. Don't demand clarity. Treat the shift as information. Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Not, what does this mean about her? Because your internal reaction tells you more than her behavior ever will. If you feel urgency, that's data. If you feel panic, that's data. If you feel grounded, that's strength. Second, match energy, not effort. This is critical. Do not chase. Do not withdraw to punish. Simply adjust your pace. If she slows down, you slow down. Not emotionally, logistically. You keep your tone warm. You keep your self-respect intact. But you don't overinvest to compensate. Attraction doesn't grow from proving. It grows from resonance. Third, state boundaries calmly. This is where grounded men separate themselves. You don't lecture. You don't argue. You don't dramatize. You say one clear sentence. No emotion, no explanation. I don't do well with inconsistency. I value clarity. And then you stop talking. That sentence isn't a threat. It's a filter. A woman who is testing will respect it. A woman who is playing games will resist it. Either way, you win, because you didn't lose yourself trying to hold her. Fourth, redirect your focus. This is non-negotiable. Your body, your work, your mission, your friendships, your life cannot orbit one person. Because when it does, mixed signals become devastating. When your life is full, mixed signals become background noise. This is where emotional independence is built, not through pretending you don't care, but through having something larger than any one connection. Now, here's the warning most men need to hear. Coldness is not power. Silence used as punishment is not strength. Emotional withdrawal is not confidence. Stability is power. Consistency is power. Self-control is power. The man who remains himself under pressure is the man who becomes unforgettable. Now let me leave you with a final reframe. Women don't create mixed signals to confuse you. They create them to see if they can relax around you, to see if your emotional center holds, to see if you lead yourself. And once you stop seeing mixed signals as rejection, once you stop chasing clarity, once you stop fearing silence, you stop losing yourself in the process. And that's when something surprising happens. You don't need to control the outcome because you've already won. You kept your frame, you kept your identity, you kept your power. And whether she stays or goes, you walk forward intact. Now, if this hit deeper than you expected, I want you to do something. Comment, I see it now. Not for me, for yourself. So you remember this moment. Like this video so other men stop blaming themselves for dynamics they never understood. And subscribe. Not to learn how to play games, but to never lose yourself in one again. Because the goal was never to win her. The goal was to keep you. And once you do that, everything else becomes optional.